Hello, so in this video we will cover IGCSE physics, first unit, first topic, physical quantities and measurement. So what is a physical quantity? So all those quantities which can be expressed, which can be measured directly or indirectly, and in terms of which the laws of physics can be expressed are known as physical quantities. So all these quantities I have written length, mass, time, velocity, force, acceleration, all these are physical quantities. I consider example of length. Now if you want to measure length, you can use direct method like you can use ruler or you can use a measuring tape also. It can be measured indirectly also like using echo method or we can use sonar technique. Means length is a physical quantity, therefore it can be measured directly or indirectly it can be measured. Now, and in terms of which the laws of physics can be expressed. So Newton's second law states that force is equal to mass into acceleration. Now this is a law of physics and we can express this law in terms of three physical quantities: force, mass and acceleration. So this is what physical quantity is. And if you want to define a physical quantity complete, you will need three things. Mostly two things, sometimes third is also needed. One is magnitude, that is a numerical value you will need. Second, you will need a unit. Third, sometimes you need direction also. For example, if you are measuring your height and your height came 150, if you write 150 only, so it will not make any sense. It can be 150 centimeter, it can be 150 meter. So you have to express units along with the numerical value. And sometimes we need to mention direction also. For example, I am writing minus 5 meter per second. This is the velocity of an object. So here meter per second is representing unit. 5 is representing numerical value, that is magnitude, and negative sign is here representing direction. Now we will discuss about measurement techniques of length. For example, we have to measure this length AB. Then how can we measure? We will keep a ruler. We will keep this end A at one end of this ruler and B will align with some other line, and then we can measure this length. Now, if I ask you how can you measure the thickness of a sheet? One sheet of paper is there and you have to measure thickness, then what technique you can use? Let's say you are, first of all you will take a rim of the sheets. Let's say we are having 500 number of sheets. We can make a stack of this stick, a stack of these sheets. Then we can measure the height of this stack. Let's say it is 2 centimeter and number of sheets are 500 centimeter. Then to find the thickness of a sheet, we can divide this height by the number of sheets. So 0.04 centimeter we are getting. This will be the thickness of one sheet. Now how can we measure the thickness of a pencil? For example, I give you this pencil and you have to measure the thickness of this pencil. Then how can you measure? For measurement of the thickness, first technique we can use is we will take a thread and you will wind the thread around this pencil like this. So I have made 4 turns around this pencil. Now you will unwind the wire or the thread. And let's say this is the starting point A, this is the final point B. Let's say starting point is we have kept at 1.0 centimeter. Final point is coming at 4.0 centimeter. Okay. Now the total length of the string will be equal to 4 centimeter minus 1, that is 3.0 centimeter. Now in this 3.0 centimeter there are 4 turns. Number of turns are 4. So what will be the length of one turn? So length of one turn will be 3 by 4, that is 0.75 centimeter will be the length of one turn, and the length of this one turn will be equal to the thickness of the pencil. So this is one technique. Another technique to measure the thickness is using screw gauge or meter gauge we can use. So this is a screw gauge. Now this is known as this is main scale reading and this is circular reading. So different parts are labeled, you can see. So you will keep the object whose length, whose thickness to be measured here. Let's say this is pencil whose thickness you want to measure, and then you will tight it and keep it in a fixed position there. Then how to take the reading? So this is representing main scale reading. This is main scale. Now first of all you will check key this one is lying after which reading. If you will look carefully, it is lying after 7th reading. First 7th reading. So main scale reading is 7. Then you have to check on the circular scale which reading is coinciding. So this is 35, 36. You can see This 37th line is coinciding with this line. So that is your circular scale reading 37. And least count is of this is 0.01 mm. It is mentioned here only. Total reading will be 7 plus 0.37, that is 7.37 mm. Now, before measurement, we have to ensure that there is no error. If there will be no error, so when there will be no object inside this and you will close it, this 0 will align with this line. Now, by chance, if this 0 is lying below this 0, this means there is positive 0 error. And if there is positive 0 error, so you will subtract it from the main reading. And if this 0 is lying above, then you have to add, that is negative error, so you will add that value. Another device to measure thickness is vernier caliper. Same way we will take reading. We will keep the object here. We will tight it. Then we will note down the reading. Main scale reading is this. Now this first line is lying after 5 and between 5 and 5.1. So our main scale reading will be 5. Then least count of this vernier is, let's say, 0.01 centimeter. And then we have to check which line is coinciding like this. Here you can see this is the vernier scale. Number of lines are given on vernier scale. You have to check which vernier scale line is coinciding with the line. Let's say 16th number line is coinciding. So that will be our vernier reading. So our reading will be 5 plus 0.01 into 16, so 5.16. Again in the vernier you have to ensure that there is no zero error. If there is no zero error, then these zeros will coincide. If this 0 is toward the left hand side, this means there is zero error. So you have to that is negative error, so you will add value. And if it is toward right side, then there will be positive error, so you have to subtract that value. How can we measure volume? For measuring volume, let's say you have to measure the volume of liquid, then we can use measuring cylinder. Let's say we are measuring volume of water. So when you will put the water in the measuring cylinder or any liquid, you will see that there will be a curved portion like this. This is known as meniscus. And in case of water, you will always see this curved inside. This is not, so you have to always measure this lower meniscus. Here you can have two values. One this value, another this value. So you will always take this lower meniscus value, because if you will take upper meniscus value, in this region only negligible amount of water is there, which can be neglected. So always take lower meniscus. Now how can you measure volume of a regular object? If you have any regular shape object, uniform object, then volume you can measure using formula base area into height. For example, you are having a cube, then its volume will be side cube. For cuboid, length, breadth, height, product. For sphere, it will be 4 by 3 pi r cube. But if you are having an irregular object, then how can you measure the volume? Then you have to use the displacement method. What is displacement method? First of all, you will take a known volume of water in a measuring cylinder. Let's say it is 10 centimeter cube. You will put that irregular shaped object. Volume will increase. Now new volume you can see is 15 centimeter cube. Now that the increase in volume will give you the volume of the object. So the volume of water displaced, so you can see volume of water displaced is equal to volume of object. Here we can see the volume displaced is 15 minus 1, that is 5 centimeter cube. This means the volume of the object is 5 centimeter cube. How can we measure density? So density is given as mass per unit volume, or we can say density will give a measure key how concentrated our mass is in an object. And it can be measured in kg per meter cube or gram per centimeter cube. Now law of flotation, what it states, an object will sink in liquid if density of object is more than that of liquid, and an object will float if its density is less than that of the liquid. Now measurements of time, how can we measure times? For measuring time, there are analog clock, there are digital timers. Like if digital timer, you will see timer like this in race and all, you can see. So three boxes you are seeing. So first is representing minute, second, and third one is representing 1 by 100 second. So major mistake done by students is they consider it as millisecond. It is not milli, because it is not 1 by 1000, it is 1 by 100th of a second. So if it is 005696, this means 56.96 seconds. If it is 11023, this means 1 minute means 60 seconds, 10 seconds means 70, 70.23 seconds. Another technique, like if you have to measure the time taken by an athlete, let's say this is he's an athlete, he's running for 100-meter race. Now, if you will measure using timer, then it will say there is some reaction time also. So that measurement will not be accurate. So to measure the time accurately, what we can use? We can use these light gates. Now these light gates are used. So when this light gate, this is infrared ray passing between these two gates. Now when the athlete will enter this region, he will interrupt the signal. And the moment he will interrupt the signal, these light gates are connected to computers. So timer will be switched on. And when the athlete will interrupt this signal of the second light gate, then those timers will be switched off, and this is how time can be noted. Now, if we have to measure the short interval of time, for example, you have to measure time period of a pendulum, then how can we measure? So for one oscillation, like pendulum, if you are taking for one oscillation, if you want to measure the time period, you cannot measure because there will be error due to human reaction time. So what we can do to reduce uncertainty, we can take 20 oscillations. Let's say for 20 oscillations, time taken is 5 seconds. Now for one oscillation, you can find divide 5 by 20. So that will come out to be 0.4 seconds. Now why we take multiple readings? We take multiple readings. We take multiple readings to reduce uncertainty. So physical quantities can be defined in two ways: scalar quantities and vector quantities. So scalar quantities are those quantities which need only magnitude. For example, if I ask you what is the time taken by you when you reach your school from your home, so you can say 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You need not to define any direction. But there are some quantities for which you have to mention direction as well as magnitude. For example, if I say this is a box, and if 5 Newton force is applied on this box, in which direction it can move? Now you will ask in which direction the force is applied. So force is a vector quantity. So these type of quantities in which direction is needed with magnitude are known as vector quantities. Here are example of vector quantities: force, velocity, acceleration, weight, momentum, electric field strength, gravitational field strength. And examples of scalar quantities are distance, speed, mass, time, energy, and temperature. Now how to find the resultant of two vector quantities? Let's say this is a box. Now this box is of some mass, let's say 5 kg, 10 kg. Now two persons are applying force, one force 4 Newton on upside, 3 Newton force on the right side. Now resultant means if I ask if two forces are applied, what will be the net effect on this box? Now you will say net effect on this box will be this, the box will move in this direction. This is what I mean by resultant force. Means if instead of these two forces, if a single force is applied, even then object will move in the same direction. So that is known as resultant of two vectors. Now how to find this resultant? So to find the resultant, first of all we will draw the vector triangle. Now how to draw vector triangle? 3 Newton force is acting in this direction, so I will draw like this. Now 4 Newton is acting in upside direction, so I will draw this. This is 3 Newton. This is 4 Newton. Now I have to join these two lines. Now this line is representing the resultant. Now you can see this is a right angle triangle, and this, if you will take this as an angle theta, so this will be acting as the base of this right angle triangle, and this will be acting as perpendicular. And this will be hypotenuse. And how can you find hypotenuse? Hypotenuse square is equal to b square plus p square. So h square is equal to 3 square plus 4 square. H square is equal to 9 plus 16, that is 25. H will come out to be 5. This means the resultant force acting here is 5 Newton. So this will be the magnitude. Magnitude is equal to 5 Newton. Now if I ask you what is the direction, now the force is acting at an angle theta. How to find this angle theta? For this we will use concept of trigonometry. So there is trigonometric identity tan theta, and it is defined as perpendicular by base. Now students get confused ki what to take perpendicular, what will be base. So the side on which two angles are lying, see here 90 degrees lying and here theta is lying, that is you will consider as base. So here perpendicular is 4 and base is coming 3. Now you will have calculator. So on calculators you have to do, and you have to find theta, then theta will be equal to tan inverse 4 by 3. Now on calculators what you will do, you will press shift and then tan inverse will come, then start bracket, then put 4 divided by 3, close bracket and enter. So this will come to be 53 degrees. So 53 degree will be the direction. This is how you can find direction. Now in this question we have used a calculation method. Now you can do this using scale diagram also. Scale diagram means you will choose a scale. Let's say you have choosing 1 centimeter to represent 1 Newton. So to represent 3 Newton force, you will draw a line of 3 centimeter. To draw this 4 centimeter 4 Newton force, you will draw a line of 4 centimeter. You will join these two lines and then you will measure this length. So this length will come out to be 5 centimeter, and we know that 1 centimeter is 1 Newton. So 5 centimeter will be representing 5 Newton, and you can measure this angle theta using protractor. So there are two ways, calculation method and this is scale diagram. Now let's say consider the example of boat. Let's say boat is moving toward right side at the speed of 1 meter per second, and river current means river is also flowing at water is moving at the speed of 2 meter per second. Now both are moving in the same direction. So in this case resultant velocity will become 1 plus 2, that is 3 meter per second. So whenever two vectors are acting in the same direction, resultant will be added. For example, there is a box, 1 Newton force is acting in this direction and 2 Newton is also acting in this direction. So the net force will be 3 Newton. Second example, river current is moving towards right with 2 meter per second, but now boat is moving in opposite direction with 1 meter per second. So here the resultant will be 2 minus 1, that is 1 meter per second. But this situation will not be practically possible because speed of boat will always be more than the river current. If there will be flood and anything, so this situation can be possible. Similarly, if you consider this object, one is acting 1 Newton, another force is acting in the opposite direction 2 Newton, so resultant will be 1 Newton only. And direction will always be towards bigger side. Means in this the resultant velocity will be towards left side. Another example we can consider for velocity, like let's say an object is moving toward east at the speed of let's say 2 meter per second, and wind is blowing towards north at the speed of 3 meter per second. What will be the resultant? So resultant you will find this. Again you will apply trigonometry, 2 square plus 3 square. So it will come out to be root 13. And this is theta. So you will find tan theta. Tan theta is equal to 3 by 2. Theta is equal to tan inverse 3 by 2. So when you will, so root 13 will be your magnitude, and this theta is equal to tan inverse 3 by 2 will be your direction, that is 56 degrees. So you can say 56 degrees direction, and root 13 is equal to magnitude. So this was all about chapter, we can say first topic, physical quantities and measurement techniques. If you feel you want any more detailed explanation of any topic, or if you will have any queries, then you can put your queries in the comment box. If you have any demand for any particular topic in detail you want me to explain, you can also put that in the comment box. Thanks for watching the video. If you find this video useful, then you can like this video and share with your friends, or subscribe to my channel so that you will get updates of all the videos that I am uploading. So I will cover whole syllabus, whole IGCSE physics